What would the country be without the people who've built it? And who doesn't know our Windrush story? Those from around the world who answered Britain's call to rebuild after the Second World War. A single ship which has come to symbolize so much more. The ongoing struggle against racism, the hard work, and 75 years later, an audience with the King to admire portraits of 10 of the Windrush generation, like Sir Godfrey Palmer, Scotland's first black university professor, Carmen Munro, who co-founded the groundbreaking black theatre company Talawa, and RAF veteran Alfred Gardner, who set up the UK's first Caribbean cricket club. It wasn't always the warm welcome to the motherland many had been told to expect.
The things that we had to put up with in those days, they haven't got to put up with them anymore. Everything's a lot different. Things are a hell of a lot different these days. A lot different, yeah.
What sort of thing did you have to put up with?
I can't go into them, some of them.
You think there's been progress and it's a different
oh, yeah.
country for your children?
Oh, yeah. I did my best to make life easier for them.
Black British history has come to be defined by a few short seconds of archive newsreel.
They're all full of hope for the future, so let's make them very welcome as they begin their new life over here.
75 years ago today, the Empire Windrush, carrying 1,027 official passengers and 2 stowaways, arrived at Tilbury docks, East London. But this history doesn't really start in 1948. On the very jetty the Windrush pioneers used to disembark, a photo exhibition of their faces, names and stories.
The important thing to remember is that as the years rolled on, there would have been many more like them.
And here's the thing. In the years, decades, centuries before, many others who they came to join.
The arrival of that boat, which was a historical fact, it was significant. I think it's very sad that it's being made to represent the beginning of a black presence in Britain.
One turn of the cog in black British history.
Absolutely. And it's got to be kept in its place. They joined people who had been here before. Communities in Cardiff and Liverpool and here in London and so on, who are never mentioned in the context of Windrush. So this notion that you have a body of people who were the anchorage for the growth of multiracial Britain is a myth.
And the challenges faced down by this generation of black Britons are part of a shared, bigger story of empire, of immigration, and more recently, a painful and unresolved scandal.
We are Windrush. We are Commonwealth. We are Welsh.
In Wales today, the First Minister hosting a Windrush reception. But what about the families across the UK, he said, whose lives were destroyed when the Home Office incorrectly classified them as illegal immigrants?
But it is also a recognition of great injustices done. And the need to make sure that we go on working together to put those injustices right in the future.
The King at Windsor this afternoon with the school children who will build that tomorrow. And daughter of Windrush, Baroness Floella Benjamin, who arrived here from Trinidad aged 10 in 1960.
What I'm doing now is laying the path for the future for other children and young people to take their place in society. The way of the society has allowed me to take my place through play school, of course.
But play, the Windrush scandal, is not. Indelibly recorded on the passenger manifest of this most iconic of vessels. British subjects, some of whom Britain chose to forget. Just one ship of many.
Kemi and Zarin reporting there. Now, we asked the department responsible for the Windrush compensation scheme, that's the Home Office, for an interview, but they declined. But I'm joined now from the West Midlands by Professor Martin Levermore, the independent advisor to the Windrush compensation scheme. And with me here is Jacqueline McKenzie, a partner at the law firm Lee Day, who's represented Windrush scandal claimants. Martin, I just wanted to start with you by asking, lots of people have been talking today about the Home Office in particular. This Windrush Day has been tinged with sadness for some. Is the Home Office fit for purpose for dealing with the Windrush compensation scheme?
My clear answer to that, based on the experience over the last 18 months, is it is getting there. There's still things that need to be done, but yes, I can reassure both the viewers that the problems of the past are actually being dealt with, and there is a motivation to resolve this matter.
So that's a kind of rather optimistic upsum. Jacqueline McKenzie, how do you feel about how the Home Office are doing right now?
I think we have to look at the results and the practices of the Home Office. And at the moment, I think there are some serious problems there, which leads people like me to suggest that they're not doing a very good job. I mean, at the outset, we said the Home Office should not be managing the Windrush compensation scheme anyway. It's extremely unusual for the person that did the wrong to be managing a scheme of redress. You don't normally have that.
From their point of view, they would say the latest figures, they said 72 million paid, 11 million pending, of course. There's been apologies from Theresa May, Amber Rudd, Priti Patel. Shouldn't they be given a chance to rectify what's gone wrong?
Well, we said that 5 years ago. I mean, this is the 5th anniversary of the Windrush scandal, the 4th anniversary of the actual, setting up of the compensation scheme, and things are not getting better. So there have been some improvements, but overall, there's problematic. Now, the data that we really need to look at is not the 60 million or the 70 million, because that's conflated, but it's 1,600 people have had compensation. At the outset, the Home Office's statistical modelling thought that 50,000 people were likely to be affected by the Windrush scandal. They then brought that figure down to 15,000 because so few people were applying to the scheme. And only 1,600, that's negligible. That means there's a problem.
Professor Leavenworth, do you agree with that? Do you think that there is a problem in the system here? What should be done?
Right. I think we really do need to base on the facts, and I think any assumption cannot be evaluated without evidence. So my kind colleague there and friend Jacqueline mentions the early assumption base. Since that, the working assumptions and the planning assumptions have been changed up and down. And what we do know is that as we sit today, over 17,000 individuals have been had the status conveyed on them of one form or the other, that there's been a total of 5,600 odd applications in total, to which, as Jacqueline has rightly said, £62 million has been paid, with £11 million being offered. If we look at it in the terms of the overall numbers of applications versus successful paid, that is over 66%, more than 2/3, and there are still roughly a third going through the cycle. I would also add that the period of 18 months which it was taken has actually declined now to 6 months. So the question for me is the system working in terms of a compensation scheme? Yes, it is paying out. Are they need to find out more information and work more collaboratively? Yes, there is still the need to do that, because I think information and misinformation can create an environment of distrust rather than reassurance.
But Professor Leavenworth, I just wanted to bring in, the Home Office haven't managed to get to all of the claimants or all of the people who are eligible for compensation. Why do you think the Home Office have failed to reach these people?
I think there's twofold. We've got to be very clear with our comments between eligibility and entitlements. I think the 17,000 individuals we mentioned as far as status, those are eligible. They've been proven that their lawful status has been confirmed on them. As far as entitlement, there is a need for individuals, obviously, to be able to evidence whatever method that is. Now, I think what we've got here is an issue around building boundaries of trust. And some of the information out there is misleading, not necessarily coming from the Home Office, but I think generally out there is misleading, which is also causing concern and confusion to individuals. And I think what we
So I'm just going to bring in Jackie here. I wanted to just bring in Jackie and just get her thoughts on that. Is this miscommunication? Is this branding? Is that what's going wrong?
There's no miscommunication, because just yesterday the Home Office put out the latest data sets. 16,000 people have had status documents, of which half of those are EU citizens, because the scheme is open to all people who were in the UK before the 1st of January 1989. So about half of that number are actually people who are impacted on, people who lost their jobs, were detained, removed, that sort of thing. And only 1,600 of them have had any compensation. That's woeful. The other thing that's extremely woeful is that there are about 20 to 30 of us, lawyers, advocates, community reps, who work in this space. And every single one of us knows somebody who's died whilst waiting for compensation. I know 3 people. It's an elderly cohort. The fact that the scheme is so low, there's so many delays, says that it's not working.
Jackie McKenzie, thank you very much. I know it's a conversation that we could go on about a lot. And Professor Levermore, thank you very much both for joining us.